Garvit. How are you?
Hi, Charvi. I'm very good. How are you?
So I am good. And so good to see you.
Yeah, same
So,
here.
so yeah,
Always.
formally begin. So a
Yes.
very good morning, everyone. And how are you all doing on this beautiful Sunday morning? I am Charvi, and on the behalf of Team Flourisheal, I welcome you all and Garvit to you for the session. This is our second session, our second kahani, which we like to call as Queerantine, which is a part of the program Reset the Narrative, Meri Kahani Meri Zubani. Today, we're going to talk about gender dysphoria during lockdown. We're going to talk about the stage before coming out, and we're going to talk about how to be a supportive ally. This is inspired from the fact that, we do not really talk about our identities. Even though we go through them, we live with them. So I hope that this session, helps you all as well. Before we start, let me just introduce what Flourisheal is about. Flourisheal is a healing and it's a resource channel as well as a community which deals with healing and mental health. We are a group of students which is headed by Dr. Preeti Kapoor, and our objective is to help people start their healing journeys, to support them and facilitate them through their growth so that they can eventually find so much hope and meaning which can lead to genuine flourishing. And so this program that we are hosting right now is also a part of it, because we invite people to voice their concerns, to share their experiences, and to help us understand things from their perspective. So, so today's session, we hope the same, and we do not really know what might just hit the chord with people or what might help people. So, with that, let me introduce Garvit to you all. So, Garvit Nagpal is an LGBTQIA community representative who writes and speaks about language inclusivity, about mental health related issues in the queer community. They have a vivid experience of queer lifestyle, and are therefore all set to answer your questions or share their experiences and bust some myths about the community. So with that, Garvit, I call you on the stage. It's the floor is all yours, and it feels like nostalgia all over again to me.
Yes, absolutely. All over nostalgia, nostalgia all over again. So, hi everyone. I'm Garvit Nagpal, and as Chari mentioned, I write about in language inclusivity, and I'm a LGBTQIA representative. So I'm non-binary by myself, and that's why I understand gender dysphoria in from all of its nuances, and like researched about it, talked about it. So because and I wanted to start this, and I want to start the session, with a very relatable, sort of example. So if I tell you, if you're sitting across a person and you can sense, if the person is angry or the person is happy through the vibes. If the person is angry, you're going to find a lot of heavy air around, and a discomfort also. But whenever it's a happy person, you can easily talk with them, you can easily gel with them. That's what happens. Now, when imagine the same scenario with a person who's walking in a public place, or a person who's walking in metros, and they are finding themselves being stared at, they're finding themselves being looked at again and again. Some people would try to run away from them, some people would try to come closer to them to see what the person is. And definitely there's going to be a lot of mixed air. Some people are going to be supportive as well, some people are going to be very much against, may want to harm you as well. So there is a very mixed air. And this was entirely a scenario which we come to hear whenever, when we were in the pre-lockdown phase, in the pre-pandemic phase, I would say, that you can go out and you can find all these things happening to you. So these things indirectly or directly have a very grave impact on a person's mindset, on a person's confidence, and also on the dysphoria. And what is gender dysphoria? What is the impact on a person's mind? We are going to explore that further in the session. And so, however, during the lockdown phase, where we are in right now, it's not that these things have stopped, because still sometimes you can go out, sometimes, it's at home, sometimes it's with the neighbors, it is still there with you, right? Or sometimes it is on the social media, people. People on social media, I have seen, even from my school, I have seen, people posting things that are quite shocking, to understand that people in the 21st century, people who are millennials or Gen Z, can post these kind of things, because we expect them to be the educated mass, to be the liberal masses, understanding, but it's still shocking. So starting with it, now what is gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria, if I explain a very layman language, it can be clashes between the biological sex a person is born with and the gender a person recognizes. And what are the societal expectations associated with it? Now, herein, we need to draw the distinction. Like, biological sex is defined by the doctors at the time of your birth, and it is only three types. It is male, female, and intersex. And the third and the next term is gender. Gender is a person's self-identification. How do you identify yourselves? And generally, when we're talking about the society, it is male born, as in the biological sex being the male, would be a man, would always have to recognize themselves as a man. However, that is a societal expectation. That may not be something that you relate to. Maybe, not something that I would relate to. So maybe a person who's born male can identify themselves in 216 plus genders that have been identified over time. They can be man, woman, non-binary, non-binary. It can be agender. It can be any number of genders, that we have come across. And in case of gender dysphoria, what happens is that you're feeling discomfort as you're born. You're feeling discomfort in the body in which you are born. So, for example, if you know what happens generally in these kind of scenarios is you're watching a movie, okay? You're watching a movie and you're seeing. So, how the celebrities, they show these, that they are all well polished, well, well made up, and everything is very proper with them. Now you are in solitary. Now you're alone in the room, and then you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your body, and you're thinking different things, like, okay, why isn't my body really smooth? Why, I am not that, why is there hair on my hand? Why is there hair on my leg? Why do I have beard? All of these things you're thinking about, all of these things. So you're feeling discomfort in that body, and that is gender dysphoria. And now you want to do something to get out of it, but you can't, because if you want to get out of it, it's a very complex procedure. Will you be able to get surgeries, or will you be able to take hormones? And if you get surgery, then there's going to be more complications after that. So how are you going to get out of it? It's a very it's a kind of a disorder, that's very difficult to get out of, and that's very complex to be in, actually, because it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes, I would explain it to somebody like you are in a ziplock, all around your body, and you're sweating completely. You want to get out of that ziplock, but you're not able to. So you can imagine, with this imagery, that how much uncomfortable a situation like this would be. So that is basically gender dysphoria, and I hope I made it clear, how it feels. So if I summarize it, it's basically a clash between your brain and your body. You're thinking something else, you want to be something else, you're perceiving yourself as something else. But in reality, you are something else. So you are something, so that is the major discomfort over here. Now, if we talk about what impacts can it have on your mind, of course, one major thing is overthinking. You will be overthinking a lot. Like, for example, generally people think, the only obstacle a queer person have in their life is to come out. But no, that's not the only obstacle. And I think it's not only restricted to the queer people. It is very holistic. It is to the entire society, because gender is not just a queer thing. It's for everyone. Everyone must explore in their lives. You never know. So now, if you see over here, what's happening. So a queer person, is the only obstacle is not to come out, it's also to explore who you are first of all. And sometimes when you explore, um you may not feel the same way a little while later, maybe some years later. So I've seen, people who first identified themselves as cisgender, then came out as bi, and then came out, further, and they started changing, things were so distinct, from where they started to where they were. So you can see the level of exploration that goes on in a person's life, and that is again, it's again a heavy task, because you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. You're exploring yourself again and again in life, and it's a very, I wouldn't use the term phase in that manner, but yeah, I can say, that it's kind of a phase thing, like first you're feeling this way and then you're feeling that way, and then you can keep go on and keep exploring. So that being the first obstacle, the next obstacle being that, okay, acceptance. I know that, that this thing is there, and I identify a certain way. Accept it to yourself first. Then only you can accept it out to the world, or that's your choice basically, to let it out or not. But acceptance to oneself is very important, because this is another challenge in the queer community, that people are in denial. They are in denial, and it's not their fault. They cannot perceive themselves a certain way. It is very difficult for a person to accept themselves in a certain way that they are, because all their lives they were thinking that they were something else. All their lives they were thinking, that they belong somewhere else. Everybody else thought that they belonged somewhere else, but now here it is. It's a surprise. So that being another challenge. Now the other challenge is to let it out if you want to. If you want to tell somebody, now you have to tell somebody. That's altogether another challenge. So yes, like somebody is saying, that acceptance is one important. Acceptance to oneself is very important. Then accepting, then gaining acceptance outside. Like we have generally termed it, nowadays it's more like we do not need another person's acceptance, because whenever you're seeking any outsider's acceptance, you're putting themselves on a higher pedestal than you are. And I think in a person's life, you should be the one who should be at, at an equivalent pedestal as you're putting somebody else at. Right. So that being another thing. So I have already listed 3 challenges. Now, after coming out to somebody, there is, another challenge that you have to live with it. You have to live with this identity throughout your life, or you want to explore more and keep exploring. You have to gain more education about it. You have to, not just yourself, but you have to educate people around you also about it, so that they are more sensitive while referring to you. I remember if it would have been few years back, many people were accepting towards me, but still, they would know what is pronoun, what is how to refer a person, how to grade them, and you know what. So they would be sometimes very offensive, but gradually when they see changes happening, um, the things were evolving. Even they were gaining education. So that is very important thing. You gaining education yourself is not enough. You have to educate people around you. That's also very important. You have to share things with them basically. And I never thought, that sharing just Instagram posts sometimes would make so much impact on people's mind. And now they understand pronouns. Now they understand how to refer to people. It is making a lot of impact. And just a few days back, I saw this video of a person who's a blogger now from our school only, Charvi, and she was saying, why do people add pronouns in their bio, like as if we will refer to you, with wrong pronouns, we will misgender you every time. And I was like, it is important. I recently joined a work, and the campaign that I'm working with, it's a very harmonious place to work at, because they understand pronouns, they understand things, and you won't believe, but with the introductory post that we posted, on the wall, our pronouns were written. Even if it says gender, our pronouns were written, and it was just, a very welcoming thing for me, because it's a good change basically. So yeah, that being another thing. And So all of these challenges that a queer person is going through has a lot of impact on the mind, has a lot of impact on the mind. So sometimes it happens with me also, like being non-binary. You never know what change can you anticipate the next morning or the next hour also in your body. As in not something that something grows out of me. No, 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 nothing like that. So it's basically that sometimes you're feeling towards the male side more, sometimes you're feeling towards the female side more, sometimes you're feeling like none. So you never know what kind of things can happen at any junction of time. And every morning it's like scavenging through the cupboard and finding out, okay, which outfit would be the best outfit could I feel in today. That's also very can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, that's a very confusing thing to go through. That sometimes you're just like what to wear, and you don't know because there's so much confusion in mind, being non-binary themselves. So there are these series of challenges, and what is it impacting in the mind? A lot of scenarios, a lot of thinking, and a lot of things going on around in the body, a lot of things going on around in the mind. So and it was a study that I was sharing with you the other day, that things that you're developing in your imagination, the scenarios that we are developing in our imaginations are happening with our body in reality. So the changes you are so for example, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get into this fight with a person, and I'm gonna beat the hell out of them, and things are gonna happen. Your body is reflecting to those vibes. You are going to develop things in your body, maybe wounds, maybe not wounds actually, like maybe maybe health issues, maybe a lot of growth hormones being reduced, because you're collecting a lot of negativity in your body. And this is a true thing, that our body reacts, and our body thinks and grabs negative things very quickly than it can grab the positive aspect. So being queer, when you are being surrounded by so much of negativity already, that there is homophobia, there are issues like certain country did this thing, and sometimes even this happens. We have to check a country's laws before going there, because we want to be sure whether it's safe or not. So it's like a mix of thing happening. So you get it, a lot of negativity around, and it's very difficult to keep that mindset, keep that positivity over there when you're at a junction when you just can't have it. And that is where the queer struggle starts. It's there where the queer struggle starts, that you have to be positive. Because if you don't, then the one piece of happiness that you can give to yourself, you're losing that also. You're also converting that into negativity. And I think the gift that you can give to yourself is the biggest gift that you can receive from outside. Like, why do we call it self acceptance is more important? Because it's a gift given by self to self. It's you yourself accepting. Why is self love so important? Because it's a gift for you to yourself. You're loving yourself, and that's why it is more important. And when you are missing out on that thing, you can't anticipate a person outside coming and giving a pat on shoulder and saying, yes, you're doing a good job, because you're not accepting yourself. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that denial is wrong. It's a very hard thing to come out of. It's a very hard thing to come out. But ultimately, when you do, it's a very liberating thing. It's not that all of us don't deny. We all deny some of the other things, like in psychology and even in marketing. We read this thing called cognitive dissonance. And I'll reduce the jargon, okay? So, cognitive dissonance is basically that you brought a product from outside. Let's say you brought a t shirt from outside. It's a red color t shirt, and you thought it's a 2,000 rupees t shirt. Okay, so the quality must be very good and the color must not go away. Suddenly, slowly and slowly, the color starts fading away as you're washing them. But you will still deny it. You will still be like, no, 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 it's a 2,000 rupee t-shirt. I brought it from this very good brand. It must be very good. So
Yeah.
that is cognitive dissonance, that you're in denial. You don't want to accept, that no, this is a thing, this is an object, this is a product, it can go bad. Same as with you also, that you were understood in a certain setting, you were understood to belong to a certain setting. That and everything has changed now. Everything has completely changed now. So that is the initial denial that you have. So it's completely fine to have denial, but it's also very important that you don't stay there. You come out of it. You try to
Right.
come out of it, because if you don't come out of it, you are missing out on things. You're gonna miss out on the certain aspects like self acceptance, self love, self healing, and all of these things you won't be able to do. I did a lot of things by myself, a lot of getting education regarding these things. I think I barely read any secondary any secondary data researchers. I would go and read slides. I would go talk to my friends about it, because I needed to know what is my immediate environment like, to know what kind of setting I am in. And I think then that thing helped me to get out of the denial. Um, so yeah, so if we talk about the healing aspect, like which is the major motive of the session, the healing aspect, that how can you declutter your mind? Is first of all, stop thinking. Okay, if you're thinking negative, stop thinking. And I heard this thing a few days back in a YouTube video that says, if you're a baby, if you have a baby, you would want to tell them all the good things, so that the baby grows up to be a very positive soul and a very positive person. So you are yourself, for you yourself, you are a baby. So why are you recording all of those things, that are inappropriate, that are negative for your growth, for your flourishing, for your nurturing, basically? So first of all, stop thinking negative. Stop creating scenarios in your mind that if I wear a certain thing outside, then so and so things are going to happen. So first of all, stop thinking, okay, like that. That is a major thing. Second of all, if you want to, you want to give up thinking like that, and if you want to, get out of denial, the best way out is start educating yourself, start reading about it, start you can read queer books if you like. If you don't like books, if you're a person like me, who doesn't read books, I don't like reading books unless they're textbooks, because that's mandatory. So I read very little books. So the thing is that if you're a person like me who hates reading, and with no offense, go on internet, watch videos, watch there are these nice videos available outside that tell you a lot. You can read research papers, just take a look. You can read articles, you can see, yeah, and you won't believe them, even watching digital art sometimes helps. You watch it, you understand, and then you get to know, okay, this is a lot of level of normalcy that is around me. And what I did was I stopped noticing all of the negative. I stopped noticing all these phobic people around me, because I knew, what's the use? What's the use? If you can't notice what's the positivity around you, why are you noticing what's the negativity around you? Just either notice nothing or notice the positive aspect. Don't go on to the negativity, because it's like a opposite pole of a magnet, that it attracts very quickly. So just forget about it. Watch towards the positive side. Talk to your friends who are accepting, because that is ultimately going to help you come out of denial. Nothing else is going to help you to come out of denial. And the blessing here can be when your friends are accepting, when your friends understand, that how things are. And if there is a particular place, where you're feeling unwelcomed, where you're feeling, where you're feeling that, okay, it's not going to work out over here, and neither can I change anything over here, then just go out, excuse yourself from that place. But if you think, you are at a setting where you can make the change, where you have the capacity to make the change, stay there, you know, talk to people over there, because you have the capacity. I sometimes even I get exhausted and I just, start feeling like, okay, I do not have the capacity now and I can't, make changes. It's just getting too much. I just excuse myself, because again, that is self-acceptance, that is self-love. Because more than outside, you have to, be accepting inside. And there is a very famous quote. I heard this in our 10th class by our social science teacher who said, what a person does in the four walls of their room is no one's concern. So, unless it's harming someone. So,
Yeah.
whatever you do, it's your business. It's, in your four walls of the room. And that is the most liberating thing for a queer also. In your four walls of your room, you can be yourself. There is no one around to judge you. You can, at 3 a.m. dance. At you can do makeup tutorials. You can do whatever you want. That's completely fine. You're yourself in the four walls of the room. So that is another healing activity, people are trying out a lot. So three things that I've mentioned first is stop thinking, especially the negative scenarios, because they are going to have real impact on your body. So, like this thing happened with me when I was preparing. It's not related to the queer life, but it was more or less like when I was preparing for my, these cat and everything else. I think I told you, I was very depressed at that point of time because so much competition, people, literally running after you and everything, and it was a lot. So that had impact on my body. I may have fallen sick. I may have, gotten because I stopped eating, a lot. I stopped watching TV a lot. I was just looking at the sky. I was just talking. I wasn't even talking to a lot of people at that point of time, and it was lockdown, so can't even
I
go
remember.
out. Um,
Mm.
so so that had impact on my body. So this is just to state, stop thinking, especially the negative scenarios are going to have impact on your body. One thing. Second thing is that educate yourself to come out of denial. Educate yourself. What you need to do is educating yourself means read articles. And whenever we're reading articles, it's a reader's guideline. Never read articles from the writer's perspective. Always read them from the reader's perspective. What is your perspective towards that particular thing? Because at the end of the day, what article you're going to be reading in the newspaper or on any blog, it's the writer's perception towards an XYZ topic that you're going to be reading. And do not stop reading at the junction where you think it's done. No, it's never over. I always thought that asexuality is it's just a term for the people who wouldn't want to get involved physically into activities. So however, it's not. It's not. It's an umbrella term to different terms under it. So now, which one do you want to identify with? Find that, or and it's not even permanent. It's very temporary. Sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't feel it. It's like that. So
It's
you
like,
don't stop at any junction.
going to a new city. It's like, going to a new city and finding yourself a new home, something like that.
Yes, exactly. So it's like you're still in the domestic territory of of your country, but you are changing states. You know that the culture will be the same, but you
Hmm.
don't know what language are you going to encounter, what kind of people are you going to encounter. So you're still under the same umbrella, but you're changing. You're finding something different. So never stop at just one junction and never stop at one thing that you think you are. Like I initially, when I used to think, okay, I might be this particular sexuality, it wasn't true. Then I found out more about it. I came in the first year of my college and we established the queer collective in the college. And when we were talking about it, I got to know, oh my God, there's so many things I haven't, discovered. There were so many things I haven't known about. And there are people who know about it. And there was something that I knew, but other people did not know about. So it was an exchange process. You were discussing things. So that also happened. And so never stop at one junction, another thing, and go on, read, listen, watch art, involve yourself. That is very important. Know what your community is basically and how your community is even beyond your domestic territory. How is the country, sorry, How is your community beyond the domestic boundary also? Explore all of that. So these things are very important. Then the third thing that we talked about was wait, I forgot. The third thing that we were talking about was basically sorry.
The four walls of the house, what you do inside them,
Yes.
and that.
Absolutely. So the another healing activity that we talked about was, the four walls, that explore yourself within the four walls of the room. And, when you are feeling comfortable, get out of there. Get out of there. Or, and the fourth thing that we talked about was, if you're feeling that you're too much into a scenario, you're not feeling comfortable in, get out of there. And there is another example I'll give you for this. I was working with a firm, and I was, it was a week of working, not even a week. It was 3 days of working there. And thankfully, it was just an internship, not an employment. So, the level of work was so much. Like in India, generally we say, that how is it? You give a person you're paying so low, the work, is like 3 to 4 times that pay, and it was five
Yeah.
times I think that way. So it was like I do graphic designing, so like one graphic done, okay, bring next, another done, bring next, another done, bring next. 32 graphics in a day, and I was like, what is it happening? What is it happening? And on top of that, team meetings also, and on top of that, nobody is very much knowing, okay, are you going through any personal issues in your life because of which you're not able to submit your work? Nobody wants to know that. And I thought that was a very very difficult situation to be in. And gradually I fell sick. And I diagnosed, and then I went for tests and everything, and I was sick. So that was, then I finally, talked to the person and I said, see, this is a problem that is happening, and I really need to vouch out of it. So that is how you do it. Just be confident to know what you are capable of and what you're not capable of. So, yeah, so that is another thing. If you're not feeling comfortable at one place, just leave. If you don't think you have the mindset to do it, just leave. But don't leave too early. Just, with the initial thoughts that, you want to give up, you think it's getting too much. Don't leave at that. At least give yourself some time to understand what things are going on and how they will be in future. So yeah, that being another thing. Okay, now we move on to this segment, where we have to
Before
discuss
that,
how to deal.
yeah, before that, I think we have some questions, and you can
Yes, yes.
quickly go through them. So one is by so there's this question: how to keep going with self love, because there are many things which trigger negative emotions.
Absolutely. So yes, definitely. And whenever you're having dysphoria, also whether you have dysphoria, don't have dysphoria, you will be having negative thoughts about yourself also, and of course about around the world also, about the world also. So the most important thing, like I mentioned, is first to stop thinking. Stop thinking. Whenever you are first time, you'll try it technically, and then you just keep going on and on with it. Like first, if you start thinking, okay, like whenever this thing happens with me, I also used to make a lot of negative scenarios around in my head about myself, also about the world, also. Sometimes you're coming late at night, and I used to think, okay, done for today. Done for today, as in, okay, now I'm late for home, and the way is very risky. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's, just let's see. So, why thinking like that? No. So now when I am out, I can, actually give myself an introspection. Stop thinking like this. Stop thinking like this. It's going to be fine. So this is how it goes. When you're having negative thoughts about yourself, or whenever you're having negative thoughts about somebody else around, just start technically giving it a stop. Technically start, and then gradually you will develop this into a habit. That you will just eventually stop thinking a lot about it. So this is how you can stop the negative thoughts. And important thing is divert yourself. If you're thinking, you're there too much, divert yourself. Maybe into some hobbies, maybe into reading if you like, maybe listening to songs if you like. Initially, it's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to be very, very technical also. That I used to make schedule or a checklist. Okay, these things I'm going to do today. But then gradually you just make it a habit. So that's a way to come out of it. And if you think in on social media you have certain elements that are troubling you, unfollow them. I very blatantly
Right.
unfollow them actually.
Hmm. Right. So there's another question that is there in the question room. So they're asking that are gender and sexuality related? Does one affect the other in any way, or are they independent? Like you have did cover, but I think they want to know more about it.
So basically, this question is regarding the different terms. Okay, so like I mentioned, one is called the sex, the biological sex, that is male, female, and intersex. There are only three types of it. You cannot define more than that. It's biologically defined. So male, female, we know, but what is intersex is that the genitalia is not properly developed. So you cannot identify. It's not transgender. Please do not confuse it with transgender. Now, then comes gender. Gender is a person's self identification. Like, even if you're born male, regardless of that, you can be anything. You can you can identify yourself as woman or man or non binary, agender, and so on. What is sexuality? Is basically your liking for a person. So if if you identify as male, I'm saying, sorry, if you are male, not identify, if you're male, you are liking a male, then we know it's homosexuality. Or if you're a female liking a female, then it's homosexuality. So sexuality is defined as male and male, female and female, or male and female and male. It's like that. It's defined like that. It does not have a lot of things to do with the gender because it is independent, I would say, of the gender. But sometimes gender influences your liking of towards a certain person, like how we say, and we have been discouraging, but you can't really say. So the thing is, sometimes our type, the word type, is for somebody who's very masculine. Sometimes our type is for a person who's very feminine. So therein it can play a role towards your liking, but it's quite independent of it.
Right. Right. So do we take more questions, or get forward and take the questions later?
We can take one or two more, I think, for now. Then,
There
because the
is
last
one
segment is
in.
also important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true, definitely. So yeah, so there's this one question in the comment section that this is on a separate tangent, but what are your thoughts about balancing our religions and our gender identity, especially if your culture is outwardly homophobic?
Yes. Very important thing, and something that even I have been coming across, a lot of times. Not around me, but this question pops up, in there. It's there in every session with me. So the thing is that when you have people around you, here we're going to be a little logical also. When you have people around you who are not accepting, when you have people around you who are homophobic. So, for example, when I was living in Egypt, and it being the Arab Republic, it's the laws do not allow, and the laws are very strict towards it. So, to the extent that if you have a different color hair, just cover your hair. So the thing being that in situations where there is very little scope or no scope of you, um, you know, um, of you basically coming out, or the scope of you to show yourself to the world, I would suggest be a little sensible, and at that point of time, and do not risk yourself. Do not risk yourself in that situation, because if you want to fight, if you want to if you want to bring about a change also, generally rebels are popular, and generally rebels are they work when they are in a group, they are in a group. But how I work about it is I be humble. I talk to people. I would be very friendly with them, because if you're friendly with them, we will find it very difficult to deny our friends. You will find it very difficult to to say no to something that our friends believe in, because that's just there. But whenever you have an enemy, whenever you have an opposite person, you will find it very easy to to deny that particular thing. So how you go about it in a setting where you are, where the religions don't allow you, where the culture does not allow you, is You be humble, you be kind. I know that, the world around you is going to be like, it's going to be like, okay, no, this thing is bad, this thing is bad. They're going to pass so many comments. Happened with me also. It's going to be so many comments. There are going to be so many things. But you just need to be kind. And, like I mentioned in the segment, it's a gift for you to yourself also. If you will be happy internally, you will be, able to get out of it. And so the thing is, first of all, be kind. Around you. It's difficult, but please try. Second thing is, like I mentioned, the four walls. It sounds like you are in a cage, but it's not. It might sound like it. It's very liberating. It's very liberating because you were yourself, for some time, right, in between the four walls of your room. So try that out. Be yourself in the four walls of your room. That's very important. That will help you, balance it well. Because if you are in a setting constantly where things are not allowing you to be you, then there is a time you have for yourself where you can be you. So try that out. Be that. That will also help you to balance it. And when you find that the setting is comfortable, when the setting is very harmonious for you to tell people that will not risk your life, because now you are confident enough about yourself, you're confident enough about your surroundings, that everything is fine now. It's a good to go situation basically. So I hope I answered it well.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah. So, like, yeah, we can move forward with the next segment that
Okay.
we have.
So the next segment, like right now, we just talked about a lot of queer things, a lot of how queer identity works, and about the technicalities. Now comes the world outside. We generally call it the outside world sometimes because it's like queer world is very different. It's the culture is very different here, and then comes the world in totality. Although I would say that the line should not be there, but at points, at some times we are there in a junction where we feel to call it the outside world, the world together. So how should a person in the outside world, who's an ally, who's a supporter, can be comforting towards a person who's just trying to come out, or who has told you certain things about themselves. First of all, realize that a person who has just come out to you, this is a very, very difficult thing. Like I mentioned, it's the coming out thing is nothing. It is important, but it is not the only struggle. The major struggle started with the exploration, with the doubts, with the denial. It went on and on and on, and then finally it came to the point of coming out when the person was confident. And when we come out to somebody, we are putting our trust in that particular person. So you need to realize at that junction also that the person has put the trust in you, so you do not break it. You do not out them, even by mistake. And you keep that particular trust and then you go on with it. So, like it happened with me that, if I told a particular person, the next day the entire class knew. And that was not the right thing. Although to me it had a different kind of an impact. I was free after that, but that was how I took it. Maybe somebody else doesn't take it very well. Maybe somebody else is still in that shell, that they want to come out but they're not confident enough, so they're just telling one person at that particular junction at that particular time. So respect that. It is a thing that is being told to you, and it is being told to you because the person trusts you. Second thing, educate yourself more about it. I mean, in this entire session we have talked a lot about education. We have talked a lot about you know um, things like educate yourself, educate people around you, share things with others, because it's very important. Where we are right now in the 21st century, in 2021, we are here, we are having this session here because we are educated, we want to get educated, we want to share things, we want to learn things. That's why we are at this junction. Why is there so much development in psychology? Why is there so much development in economics and commerce? Is because people were willing to get educated and study the phenomena of the world. That is what is important. And the more you'll read about it, the more you'll study about it, you will know about it. You will know yourself more. because there is nothing inbuilt that I know. My body functions, my body digests food, my body gets all the nutrients also. I did not know that by birth until and unless I read biology. So that's very important again. Educate yourself, educate others, share things with others. Being in a lie is very important because you may not yourself be going through it. So you have to put some extra efforts into knowing it. How does it feel to be there and to be in someone's shoes? And at the same time, even the queer person, should be very should know what an ally is, should know how an ally is. So, for example, somebody like it happened there once with me that somebody wrote an article and they were an ally. Okay, they were an ally, or you can call them that they later identified into certain sexuality. But at that point of time, they were very, not very properly educated about a certain aspect of, the transgender community. So they wrote an article, and the article had some points that, excluded the community in some respect, or that excluded their struggle in some respect. I found it okay. I mean, I found not that exclusion was okay. I found that okay, this person has written the article. They are not properly educated about it. So it is bound they will miss out certain things, right? Yes, nahi ho sakta ki agar, you have all the education of this world and you will always be very inclusive. Sometimes you have left out. Understand the writer also, where they are coming from, what setting are they coming from. So before developing protest, before developing the negative aspect about it, just think where they're coming from, and then talk to that person, tell them, educate them. Okay, these things were there, and the article was okay, but these things we found were exclusive. You should make it more inclusive. How can you make it more inclusive? Give them inputs. No, that's how you bring about a change. So queer person also have to be understanding of this thing that not everybody around them is always educated. So sometimes you're going to find clashes, sometimes you're going to find phobia, sometimes you're going to find exclusiveness. So be okay with it. No, not okay with it because that's not normal, that's not right. But try to understand the setting of the person, where the person is coming from, and then educate them, and then make the things okay. So that is another very important thing, that why education is important, and for the queer people, for the allies as well, why understanding is very important, and why communication is very important also. If you don't communicate things that are making things exclusive, the things won't reach anywhere. It will just be a debate, and you know how we call it, debating doesn't lead to anywhere. Debating just stays there. It establishes a point where one party is always opposing the other party. If you say 1 plus 1 is 2, the other party will still deny it and say no, 1 plus 1 is 4. Because everybody has to keep their own stance. Everybody wants to win. But a discussion is a place where where you discuss, where you talk, where you communicate, and then you come on a conclusion. In debating and fighting, in there you don't come on any discussion. So that is another thing. And yeah, I think we can take up questions now if there are any, because I think I've covered all the segments already. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just a second. Yeah. So there's one more question that is there in the section. What to do when people who are very significant in our lives aren't accepting our identity? I think a very
Right.
important.
Very, very important question. So, in this situation, like I mentioned before, that if you're in a setting, wherein people around you are also not very accepting. First of all, understand the mindset of the people. Why are they not accepting towards you? Is it because of religious things? It is because of they have certain perceptions. They had certain scenarios in their lives. Why is it happening? Understand these things once you are, because you can't just accept the person to be sensitive towards you. Even you have to be sensitive towards the other person in order to establish an equal ground. So understand why is it so, first of all. Then once you know why is it so, you can try changing that thing. Maybe watch movies with them, maybe watch sessions with them that break myths. Maybe discuss things with them. Like this thing happened with me, that people I met, like friends of my very close friends, they were not very accepting. They had a lot of perception about queer lifestyle. But when they met me, when I talked with them, when I shared things with them, they became very accepting, surprisingly. They talk, we have communication and everything. So that is why it's very important to understand, first of all, the setting. Why is it so? Second thing is, try to break the myths. Try to and the best way to break the myth is not by sending them an article. Nobody reads the article you send them. Okay, watch movies with them, sit with them, watch movies or discuss things. Don't depend on sending things to a person. No, everybody's so occupied, you send them things and they don't read it. So, or listen to it. So sit with them whenever you're in, person with them, then talk with them. And it's a hard thing, but you don't have to seek acceptance outside. If you're yourself accepting, that is important. But also, if you know that person's acceptance matters to you, that's fine. But these are the ways you can go through. And even after this, they are not accepting towards you. Then think, you know, then you'll have to think how, because generally with me the things have ended here only. The things have become better over here only. When you start sharing, when you start talking, and the perception of people change. So if you ask, I would suggest to watch this movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It's Uncle Frank. Of the setting of I think it's around 1900 somewhere. I can't recall completely. It's around that time where he's there in a Catholic family, and you know how Catholic families generally are in the Western settings. They treat this thing as a sin, and there is a lot of conversion therapy around it and everything. So go ahead and watch movies. Find out how did people have their way out. Try those things as well. So yeah, that these things you can try out if a person close to you is not understanding, because ultimately they will. Content influences everyone. That's in the research as well.
True, true. That's definitely true. And Dr. Kapoor wrote Reciprocity. So, yeah,
Yes.
that's it. So, I think ma'am had a question back and we couldn't, So, she wanted to
Yeah.
know what is the campaign that you're working about right now?
Okay, so the campaign that I'm working about right now is regarding plastic free period. And what we do basically in this campaign is that how the menstruation is, how the menstrual hygiene is very important. And but yet the pads that we are using, they are made up of plastic. And you're keeping plastic very close to your body, so that's very harmful. And I've it's been 2 weeks that we have been working as a part of this campaign, and we're trying to develop policies around it. We're trying to influence the government, and we're also trying to encourage people around the same thing, that stop using plastic pads, but rather switch to menstrual cups or organic pads. There's so many alternatives available out there. However, we are also trying to penetrate deeper into the the masses, other unprivileged masses, and so that everybody has an equal access to it. That's also very important. So yeah, that's a current campaign, and really fortunate they're very accepting, and everything is going on properly. Yes, touch wood.
It's so positive, like it's really positive. So,
Yeah.
if we have more questions, we can, take up those questions. So if there are questions, please put it down on the, question box that is there. So Garvit, let me ask you. So since
Yes, yes.
I also so what are the current challenges that you are experiencing? When you go out or when you are onto social media, like the current ones.
Okay, so if I break down, them into two types of challenges. One is my inner challenges that I am experiencing towards myself, the clashes of my brain with my, the dysphoria, and the second being the challenges that I experience from the outside, the external challenges. From the inside, there is a like a mess that is created. You don't know exactly how you feel today. What do you feel like today? Sometimes you would want to put on things on your face, and but you think, no, I am not comfortable. I it's difficult. Not today. And that is one
Hmm.
type of a challenge. Then the second is also like what to wear. Now, do I feel more feminine today? Do I feel more masculine today? What to wear exactly? Do I feel non-binary today? So, I would go out wearing a loose sweatshirt and just pajamas and just go out, just let it be. Just go out.
Yeah.
And sometimes it will like we are properly dressed up and, done everything. So those are the different kind of challenges that I go through with my dysphoria. And the challenges I'd experienced from outside, although now that I've started ignoring them completely because it's been 3 4 years 3 years that I've been in college and constantly traveling in metros, I've gotten so used to these challenges that now it's like ignore it or just say
Yeah.
hi. So from outside, there's a lot of staring because not every day in metro you see the same people faces every day. It's different people every day. So different kind of stares every day. Different levels of staring every day. So that being another challenge from outside. People commenting also sometimes is a challenge. Once sometimes people even take photos without consent. Yeah, that's another challenge. Sometimes, yeah, it's mostly staring, taking pictures, trying to touch, trying to see what's there. But apart from that, sometimes even small positive things happen. Like once I was there in Metro and it was the anniversary of Section 377 being scraped off. It was a very beautiful anniversary that we had celebrated with the QCR, so the Queer Collective at my college. And I was returning. While everybody was staring at me, there was this one girl who came up and said, "You look very pretty." And I was like, "Thank you." She made my day. So sometimes even these small things happen. And one great thing that I came across, which somebody told me was when you are making efforts, when you have the confidence to tell people to stand out confidently, you are giving other people also that confidence. Maybe somebody who's still that cocoon and looks at me and thinks, okay, I also feel this way, so why can't I, why can't I also do the same thing? Then somewhere you're also empowering people with your actions. So that's very important. So yeah,
Yeah.
challenges, but if I would see this with a positive angle now, that it's making us stronger every day.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So I think there are no more questions. One final take from you.
Yeah.
What will you say to people who are, currently struggling with their identity?
Right. So like I also said, in the session before, that you will think a lot of negative scenarios because your brain finds it very easy to, create them, sorry. So it's because of the content you're watching, it's because of things that are stored in the subconscious mind. It's a lot of things. If you want to give it a pause, if you want to hit a stop button, just switch to the side you want to switch to. Initially, it's going to be very technical. Initially, it's going to be very hard, but ultimately, you'll just get there. If you and small things, how if you want to change the type of content you're watching, you're currently watching something that's suspense, that's horror, and murder mysteries, and that is getting there. So whenever you are also creating scenarios in your brain, you are creating negative scenarios only. But on the other hand, when you're watching something positive, you're watching something nice after a long tiring day, you will be fine. You would be like feeling good. You would create positive scenarios in your mind, and whenever your brain is up to creating negative scenarios, it will just ultimately say stop. You yourself, your inner voice will say just stop and start creating positive scenarios. So if you are thinking that you know I am not confident about myself yet, I'm still exploring. First of all, start creating positive scenarios that everything is going to be fine. Take your time. Life is a long journey. Okay. Nothing happens within 1 day's time, 2 days' time. These things take a lot of time. So understand that also. And the most important thing is educate. Get yourself education. Read things online. If you don't have the access to online resources, try reading books. Maybe borrow books from friends or issue them from libraries somewhere. But start reading. or the free sources. Talk to your friends about it, because I found people around me who were educated about this thing. And in the 21st century, it is easier to find people like that around you. So that's again another important thing. I think we have one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, please share the names of the groups that will help youth to share their experiences.
Yes. So certain groups, actually, there are no, properly defined groups of the community, because everything, later on develops into event management things, where you can talk less openly. And so far, I did not come across these channels. But some places that I would like, to mention where from, you can get some knowledge, or where you can, where you can be comfortable is one is the queer collectives of the colleges. So, like in Delhi University, several colleges have them these days. Miranda House has one. Ramanujan, like my college, has one, and IPCW has one. The Arts in College has one. So, if you are then a lot of colleges have them these days. So if you are in any of these colleges and you want to have a group, or even if you don't belong to these colleges, you can definitely attend events that these colleges hold. So you can go there. That is a very a very nice sacred group of people, and it's always very enjoyable to go there. Attend pride marches. They're very free, organized by anyone. They are very free, they're very nice, something to be open in. So that is another thing. Second, if you want to read something, I would suggest read articles. There is an article on Gender Spectrum. It's a website on Gender Spectrum. Read articles there. There are slides on, you can find them on SlideShare also. There are slides on intersex, male, female, all that. You can read that. If you want to get educated about transitioning, again there are great slides on that also available on SlideShare. And read research articles. You can find them on JSTAR or on ResearchGate. Plenty of articles are there, but always read them from your perspective. Don't read them from the speak the writer's perspective. Or if you want to listen to audio tapes on Spotify. They're very nice. So, and one series I can suggest you, if you don't want to do any of these, if you want just entertainment and education, watch Pose. Pose is very important. It's on Hotstar as well as it's on Netflix. It's about transgender lifestyle in the 1900s somewhere. I can't recall the exact year. 87 or 61 somewhere. It's around the Bronx area of New York. So you can watch that. That I have watched it already 3 times. It's a very nice show. You can, in if you're if you want to watch something Indian, watch Super Deluxe. It's there on Netflix, and it's a very well depicted transgender lifestyle. Very well depicted. So yeah, these are some things you can tap on to get education, to get entertainment, and more experiences.
Ma'am is
Okay.
asking name again. Yeah.
Okay, I'll also send these name in writing. This is Pose, Pose. It's in the Bronx area of New York where they've shot this thing. It's around 1987. It's Pose, Pose, and the other one is Super Deluxe. Super Deluxe is it's actually a South Indian movie, which is also available in English, and it's around a father who identified themselves as transgender and later on went on to have this journey, gave up the family, and then came back to meet their son. And when they came back to meet their son, they were wearing the wig and the sari, and the setting was completely changed now. So it is a son's confusion also about the father. So we watch that. There is another movie. It's called Dear Dad. It's also a very nice movie. I saw it here in, I think, in my 11th or 12th. It's a very nice movie. Also, a married man starts exploring themselves. Dear Dad. I'll send you the name also. All of these.
Yeah. That, that works. So
Yeah.
I think there are no more questions. So yeah, we can conclude here. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Garvit, for joining us. And I feel so enlightened right now. I feel so happy. So I'm genuinely so grateful. And on the behalf of whole team Flourisheal, I thank you and best wishes to you. You know, just before we end, let me talk about what we're gonna do next Sunday. So,
Yeah.
since we have this, we started these live sessions where we meet every Sunday. So next Sunday is 14th February, which rings a bell. It's Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is all about, connecting to new people and sharing their experiences, caring about people, loving them. So, we will have a surprise for you where we will have some fun
Okay.
activities and you can, all participate into it. And it's going to be a very fun thing. So, yeah. So book your date, just an hour for us and we're going to have a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. All the time for you, Charvi.
so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Garvit. And
Thank
more
you.
power to you and all my hearts.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Why